All right.
I'm over it.
Oh.
Recovered from your hangover, have we, Leo?
No, not
I'm
that,
over it.
man. Just not feeling great. Oh.
Recovered from your hangover, have
Who's
we,
going
Leo?
around here?
I don't think that's what this is.
It doesn't help that it's been freezing here. I've just been calculating it. It's 23 degrees for you guys.
Ooh, that's colder than we got. I think we got down to maybe like 25 or 26 the other night.
It is here right now. It's 31, but that's the warmest it's been all week.
51 here. Feeling all right.
I'm going to be down there probably Wednesday.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, I'm going to Sinton.
I don't know where that is.
Down by Corpus Christi.
Oh, way down there.
Yeah, it's going to take me a day and a half to get there.
Yeah. I mean, most of that drive is going to be through Texas.
Yeah.
Watch out for deer.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me if it's a good route.
I got to go through Arkansas.
Listen, Bill doesn't kiss and tell, okay?
Unless I get
Yeah, a
the chance.
gentleman never says. Neither does Bill.
No opportunity wasted.
No, obviously not. You have a good Christmas and New Year, Leo?
Yeah, so far. I mean, outside of... are we streaming?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, man. Mostly pretty good. Just some ups and downs, I guess. Still dealing with a lot of the fallout from death in the family. So,
Oh, I'm sorry, man.
making it, man. Making it.
It's shit, isn't it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Nobody tells you all the crap you got to do after something like that.
Oh, God.
Well, they probably do. I just wasn't listening.
Oh, well, actually, I sometimes think that is a coping mechanism for a lot of people. Do you know what I mean?
What's that? Being
The
busy?
stuff. Yeah, doing the stuff. Oh, I've got to sort the funeral out. Oh, I've got to go to the registrar's office. Oh, I've got to get the body released. Oh, we've got to get this. We've got to get this death certificate. We've got to do that. I found the worst day after my father passed away was the day that everybody left.
Really?
We'd had like relatives come over from his brother, my youngest uncle had come over from India. Come over from,
Now recording.
Someone had come over from Dubai and stuff, and so there was people in the house and people were coming around and things like that. And our burials and stuff are reasonably quick. So I mean, he passed away on the Monday. I think we buried him on the Wednesday or the Thursday.
Oh, wow.
something
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of stuff that needed to get sorted out quickly. And at the weekend on the Sunday when everybody left, and then you kind of came back home, and there's this big massive hole where your dad was.
Yeah.
That was the tough day. That was the toughest day. And I always tell people, whenever I don't want to have that conversation, but if anybody does have a loss or anything, like I always say, prepare yourself for that day because it will hit you. Because up until then, it's like it's not real.
Yeah, right.
And then after that, it's like, okay, now get back to life now. Get back to work.
Yep.
Then
get
you
back to
go through
school.
this next thing after that when you once both parents are gone, you it hits you. Well, I'm next. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't mind being next. I don't mind.
yeah.
I have no issue with that. I mean, I even many years ago when maybe my mental state wasn't as good as it probably is now, I remember thinking to myself, I really wish I'd die before everybody else, because I don't think I could cope with the loss of my mom or my wife or anything like that.
I lean on people too much, man. I depend on too many people. I would go crazy, and I would get nothing done.
Human beings, man. I'm absolutely petrified of the day my mom passes away.
Yeah, my
Absolutely.
servers would still be fine. I'd be able to keep those guys up. They'd last into perpetuity, man. But anything in the real world, it would just crumble, slowly
It's an
crumble.
interesting thought experiment. How long would the servers last if I something happened to me? Because there's nobody else.
I mean, yeah, mine. I mean, at least a good 3 months, unless something like electrical happened. Yeah, man, at least 3 months. But
Yeah.
man, the with the infrequency in which I touch them sometimes, I wouldn't be surprised if they went a year or longer.
Oh, I have
Just
nightmares about
kept
having to
chugging.
set this shit back up again.
Oh, I mean, actually, this will be good content. We should start because I've got a question for you already,
Haven't
man.
we?
No, we're
We're
just
on.
streaming, but we haven't started the show.
Oh,
Give me 1
wait a
second.
minute. So for the special people that watch us on the stream, we have started. Oh,
Yeah,
hang on. I gotta.
you're getting a raw feed on the
Yeah.
stream, basically.
There you go.
You are,
One unfiltered.
and your video has froze up, Majid.
Yes, it has. It has. I don't know why it's frozen up. Hold on. Go down, switch it. Yeah, there we go. Put it on and put it off again.
Hey, that works. We'll have to remember that one.
Hang on 1 sec.
Yeah, I gotta.
Oh, Pulse Audio is going to update now. I wonder if that's a good idea.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah, I mean, what could possibly go wrong, yeah?
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to figure out all of this new camera setup. I think I got it figured out. But I bought a really expensive camera. Well, I say really expensive. It was probably the cheapest of the expensive cameras that you can get, like $500, maybe $600. And it's just been sitting in the corner on a tripod that are right behind me. I need to get rid of.
What are you using it for?
Nice. For webcam, this is it.
For this stuff, all right.
Yeah.
I
It's
ordered
really
that.
for. Oh, go ahead.
So I was going to say, I finally ordered a dash cam, and it's
I need
still,
one of those.
It's still in the box.
Yeah.
In in the hole.
That's how this
haven't-
one. This one's the same way, man. Pretty sure it was on that tripod, looking like it was going to be used for like 10 months before I actually got it into some kind of state that I can use, and hastily put it together a couple days ago, just because I didn't have anything to do, and it came together quite quickly. It's running through a little HDMI thing, so it's just HDMI out from that. I'm watching myself in the little monitor thing, and then it's got this mode where it like puts blue sprinkles on whatever's in focus, so I'll know if that ever changes. It's on manual, so it shouldn't, but it's nice to like know when I'm exactly in focus. And I had this cam link thing that ports the camera into it for even longer. But yeah, man, it's good. Apparently, you have to open up Discord first, then OBS. You can't do the other way around. OBS or Discord is like, I don't know
Nah.
what camera you're talking about.
I wonder if that's using a flat pack or a snap or something.
I'm on a Mac.
No, it's just one device at a time can use your camera, and
Not true. It depends on the order. I mean, you see me, right?
yeah.
And I have me recording directly in OBS. It just has to be turned on in the right order.
See, the reason we were able to do this was because I figured out that OBS virtual camera thing, so I'm able to create a scene where I flip the camera around, and then pipe that off to Discord. Discord, of course, flips it around again, and you guys see
right.
backward image of me, but the video feed is actually correct.
Yeah.
So it's
What is Riano?
huh?
Yeah, behind you.
Uh-huh.
He's so
got me
funny.
there.
He's so funny.
guy.
He's so
He's funny guy, isn't he?
Listen, man, I'm here at 80%. It's the best you're gonna get.
Well, your 80% is probably better than my 110.
Man,
The fact that
I don't know.
I said 110, that's one of those things that irks the shit out of me.
That's the cocaine.
It's a hell of a drug,
Oh,
dude.
110%.
Yeah. That's you're normally 90%, 99%, something like that. But then you get that bump, and 110, baby.
Yeah. All right, let's do a 3, 2, 1, and then 20 seconds just so that I can find where the beginning is.
I can respect the cocaine.
Oh, yeah, you're living down there where it comes into the country. Okay, so
Hey,
3, 2, 1. Just a formality, of course, because I never have to do any.
Didn't even make it to 20.
Well, all I need is a little bit of space in the waveform, like, so I can say, "Yep, that's it, right about there is where we started."
Okay.
So, all right, episode 44.
44 or more.
Linux OTC. Welcome to episode 44. I'm Bill.
I'm Majid.
I'm the other guy.
He's the other guy. Welcome back, Leo. Good to have you back.
Oh man, I'm only 80% back.
Yeah.
We'll see how today goes. But yeah. Thank you.
So if you're 80% back, does that mean that like you're only here up until like your knees? Below that,
That's about right. You can't see the camera down this far. I don't know that you would want to, but yeah, there are no knees.
No, I don't want to.
I bet you have lovely
Hang on,
knees.
let me just adjust the. Oh, no.
Put one down below the desk.
Do you do all your podcasting like newsreaders, with like a suit on and then like nothing underneath?
That's right. Yeah, I'm in boxers.
I did do something similar in the sense of I was on a work meeting and I had a shirt and blazer and everything on, and I just had some jogging bottoms on or tracky bottoms underneath.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's
nobody
how
was
I
seeing-
that's how I work actually, for real. Like my actual job. I'm in if I'm ever on camera, which will happen I think on Tuesday. Put on a nice shirt, brush my hair, wash my face, make sure everything's all presentable, and then sweats on the bottom.
Yeah. I mean, I work in basically pajamas because that's what theatre scrubs are. They're just basically
right.
pajamas, aren't they?
Lucky.
So, well, yeah, you say lucky. Getting the right size is the problem sometimes. And then
Why don't you just sew them yourself?
Well, but then you have to wash them regularly.
Oh wait, so you use disposable ones?
Yeah, because we're in operating theatres.
Right.
So,
it's got to be 100% sterile and all that.
Yeah, exactly. So therefore, we just have the hospital issue ones that you go in, but then there's like these big like notices around it saying like they are for theatre use only. Because people nick them and take them home.
Yeah, I mean like the gloves too, right? Like just boxes and boxes of gloves that get used at home to cut chicken.
Yeah, I mean, you can get done for fraud if you did that, because you are stealing. Really, when you think
Sure.
about it.
I mean, maybe.
Well, I mean, I do know of somebody who
Are the IT guys good enough to put the cameras around to actually capture all of this stuff?
Oh no, they're definitely not. I'll tell you that for a
I was
start.
gonna say.
They're definitely not for that. I mean, we actually had it was quite funny actually on our departmental WhatsApp group. Somebody was asking, "Is there any food in the department? I'm here and I've been here for the last 20 hours and I'm starving." Right? And it was like Friday night, and so the cafe and everything had closed, or Saturday night or something. And then the next thing we know, we hear that the office has been broken into, and we were like, "Doctor, were you really that hungry?
Yeah,
were you really
wow.
that hungry?" And then so that was the whole joke. Then when they inspected, because the security guys came to see what had happened and if anything had been stolen, and the secretary's mobile phone, the secretary's perfume had been stolen, but none of the computers, none of the which made me one thing. Number one, we must have really crap computers if nobody was stealing them.
Everybody has crap
Yeah.
computers.
Yeah. And secondly, we thought, damn, this means it's going to be a staff member, isn't it? Because if you're a staff member, you kind of go and you pocket something and you walk off, isn't it? Rather than somebody from outside. So then we said, let's check the cameras. Oh, the cameras that weren't working or switched on.
no.
Those ones.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Let's check the swipe access. Because we all have like badges to swipe in and stuff like that. Oh, they were open as well. And it's like, oh my lord, seriously.
It's the way she goes.
It's like this is just it's like a bad comedy where nobody's laughing. Really.
Oh, that's most comedies when you take the laugh track out.
I've just always
It depends,
imagined when it comes to things like that, like putting CCTV systems in a building or that, it's always the decision as to what to go with is always made by non-technical people. There's nothing new about that. And then it's, whatever service comes in, installs all the shit, gives somebody there a crash course on how to operate it, how to keep it up to date,
And then
or
they
whatever.
fire that guy.
And then that guy moves on to some other job without
Well,
anybody.
actually, they don't. In the NHS, nobody gets sacked. You get promoted.
Oh,
It's it's actually quite difficult to sack someone for poor performance in the NHS. And now that I've got some management roles, I now know this to be true. And so what happens is that you promote people sideways, so there's somebody else's problem,
uh-huh.
and not your problem anymore. And yes, it's actually quite. I mean, people have been sacked for being bad, but it normally has
It's
got to
got
the
to be
stage of them.
egregious, right?
Yeah, yeah, it's like they've literally killed someone or something. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? You've got to
Yeah.
that stage. Do you know what I mean? I mean, did you guys ever hear about the whole Lucy Letby case in the UK?
No.
So, this is a woman who has been convicted of 7 murders of babies.
Oh,
Yes. So, she was a nurse, worked on the neonatal intensive care unit in one of the hospitals in the north of England. And whenever there'd always be a death when she's on shift. And doctors noticed this and started saying, there's something going wrong here. We haven't had a death on this unit for like a year, and now we've had like one every month for the next 8-9 months. Yeah. And then they all seem to coincide with this particular nurse being on shift. And there was, investigations done. And I mean, I think that what the doctors were thinking was that she was just incompetent, is what they thought, I think.
right.
And she was being rubbish. But the some of the babies that died, I mean, obviously it's a neonatal intensive care unit. They're going to be sick kids that are on there. But even then, the ones that died were it was like, these are getting better. This child was getting better. This child was getting better. This child was getting better. Anyway, so in the end, the hospital decided to do that thing of pushing her somewhere else and putting her in some
Oh,
kind of
no.
admin job or something, which
Oh,
she was
okay.
in for a while. She then put in a grievance saying that, I've been accused of being this incompetent and this, that, and the other, and being responsible for the deaths of these babies, blah, blah, blah. And she won the grievance and had to be, and the doctors who had made the initial complaints had to apologize to her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Then this kept on, then even more questions started getting raised. And then in the end, the police were called, and within the day, they had arrested her because there was enough evidence that she was actively killing them.
Wow.
And now she's been sentenced to jail for, well, she's on a fish. And we don't do
Y'all don't do life.
life. I mean, it's called life imprisonment, but really it means 30 years. But then there is a proviso that it can be, you will never be released. Like, even if you went in front of a parole board and stuff like that, and it would be
So you
like,
do.
okay, so we do, but it's just not called life imprisonment. It is. When it's called life imprisonment, there's still the possibility of parole. But
Right.
this was life imprisonment with no possibility of being released.
Yeah,
We just
we've
call
got
it life
similar.
in prison, but we got
Yeah.
similar kind of thing. It just,
Well, yeah,
yeah.
no, it's the same kind of way, right? When you say life in prison, most of the time there's a chance of parole unless whatever you've
unless
done
they
is
specify against
crazy.
it.
Yeah,
So
and
this
then-
so this was specified, and the whole thing obviously was in the news for a long time, and it was blown up, and people were like, how did this happen? Why weren't concerns being raised? And then when it transpired that concerns had been raised, but had been kind of
brushed off, yeah.
brushed off and things like this. I mean, she's doing an appeal, and being the internet, there's a huge community of people saying she was framed, and all this kind of stuff. And I get a little bit annoyed because I okay, I try not to be conspiratorial, and I try not to be conspiracy theory.
Oh, here we go. Let's go down this rabbit hole.
I try to follow Harlan's razor that put stuff down to incompetence rather than malice.
Mm-hmm.
But
and that's what everybody was doing up until the point where there was real hard evidence, right?
Yeah, but I feel that had she not been a middle-class white woman, and the doctors raising the concerns hadn't been of a ethnic minority, things might have been slightly different.
It might have been also too that kind of thing gets dragged into the hospital, and it could be reflected poorly on them because you do
and
get
I
that
like
guilty
you
by
always kind of
association.
feel like, you always kind of feel like the executioner when you put that stuff. Well, in so many words.
Yeah.
And if you went down
no.
that road and you weren't able to prosecute her, that is
Right.
damaging too.
And backlash and all that kind of stuff. So I mean, you don't want to be the person.
You don't want to get it
You
wrong.
know, the analogies are not coming to me right now because we're talking about what we're talking about. But you don't want to be that guy and be wrong.
We're struggling to come up with Linux analogies to go along with it.
Yeah.
Well, I was.
At least you
thinking,
didn't revert to a car analogy.
Oh,
Well,
there you
let's
go.
say
See,
you buy a
so
Tesla.
when you turn the key in the ignition, what really happened? No one wants to be the person to turn the key in the ignition. Okay, let's put it that way.
Anyway, since we've been talking, we've been quite morbid already, haven't we? I mean, we started
we
off talking
opened
about
up
death.
with death.
We opened up with death, but so I'm gonna try and drag it back to something vaguely
drag
technical.
the dead corpse of this show back to life.
There's your
Necromantically.
There's your title, by the way, Bill. You were saying about your servers, right? And how long you reckon they'd last if you weren't around.
Yeah.
So my question is, okay. So my question was, what have you got on those servers, and would that make a difference as to what? Because I would assume, depending what those servers are used for, would be how much intervention is required. And if you're not there to provide the intervention, and I would assume, I mean, I'm just making an assumption here, but I doubt the rest of your family is as au fait on Linux and technical stuff as yourself.
Not even a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I can definitely say that's true of my family. So what are you using those servers for?
Everything from the websites to a jellyfin server that I share with a lot of friends. Moss wouldn't have no TV at all.
Hey, do you have a home run thing? The TV thing?
Yeah, that's on my list of things to do. I want to bad.
Dude, let me tell you, it's easy.
I want it bad because I'll tell you why. I
Stop
live
messing around. Just buy it right now.
just buy it.
Get on Amazon.
Yeah,
Hurry up.
we just don't
Right
do
now.
enough like
wait for you.
terrestrial TV to really push
I
it
thought
into.
the same thing, and then it turns out I have a craving for terrible commercials.
Yeah. You say that, but today the wife had Samsung TV on, and that's like a whole nother lineup built into the TV. And she was watching some show, and the ads, the concentration of ads in some of these shows.
What you don't get on Samsung TV are the local terrible ads.
Yeah.
Where it's that one guy, and he's a cokehead, and you're like,
same.
I don't think you can adjudicate my case, sir. But yet, he's on TV.
Some guy that you've been hearing ever since childhood doing these commercials. You know, if you grew up in
I'm
the same
Texas Rattler. You've been hit by a semi truck. I'll get you money.
Up here, we got the hammer.
I mean, I have absolutely no idea what home run is. When I've just tried to not Google it, Brave search it.
Home Run HD. That's what
this
you
is
want.
it turns out to be some kind of service in the UK for trying to find a local plumber.
That's the one.
It's basically a TV tuner that you hook up to your network, and it's
HD home run. Okay.
Yeah.
No. You call the plumber. He comes over and he lays.
He sorts out, is he? He's the man, is he?
Yeah.
He is. You'll find out.
Yeah.
Give him a call. Anyone on the list.
TV tuner product founded by Silicon Dust. Okay.
Yeah.
Might not work in the UK.
They're just
Dude,
expensive enough to where I've put it off. But the reason I want it is because I also need to because I live 300 yards from a railroad track, but yet I'm close enough to the antenna farm that I can see the TV antennas, but when the train goes by, it just garbles the reception.
No. Oh,
So,
sir, you just need a taller antenna.
well, that's all part. I've got this all in my wish list.
Is there not an irony about the fact that you're a truck driver that lives right near to a railroad?
Yeah, well, it's hard to get away from the railroads.
Is there an irony to the fact that you don't have an antenna hooked up to your truck? Do you just get channels wherever you go?
Oh, in fact, I do.
Okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah, well, it's built into the truck I got now. I got a new truck since last
So
time.
HD home run devices by Silicon Dust are available in the UK and can be used for free view
It's just
reception.
a TV tuner. I don't know why it wouldn't work over there.
Yeah,
well, because they have different specs. Like they're not NTSC, they're PAL or something or another. And that's
we're in
no
PAL.
PAL of mine.
I think that can all be switched in the
80%.
device itself. That's got more to do with the client side of reception.
Yeah, their hertz are wrong. That's as I
that
understand
might
it.
be. Yeah.
Yeah,
But the cool thing
60
is
hertz and you're on 50 or something.
The correct amount. That's right.
yeah, kind of like
half of 100.
120 is the correct voltage for home electricity. It's
that
it
is
all just
incorrect.
works.
I'll go to the mat on that one. We're
Oh,
stupid.
okay.
That's not great. We need more juice, not less.
I'll never forget.
I'm sure ours are 240.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they are.
they're twice
yeah,
what ours is. Whatever
yeah.
we.
Yeah.
I mean, yours hurt more.
So funnily enough, when you search for Home Run HD UK on search Brave Search, you get a AI generated answer by Leo, their AI
correct.
chatbot.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I was gonna say this is really this is your side hustle.
What are you
isn't it?
doing with all your
It
money?
sure
Leo?
is. None of that's AI. I'm actually writing all of those. They just send them to me.
He's
and
sitting there responding to all of these.
Yeah, exactly.
That's right.
I wonder if you could make money by being a fake AI assistant.
Oh,
I mean, you
well,
can't be any worse
what's
than the real
grocery store that was doing? Well, that was an Amazon thing, wasn't it?
I mean, well, sadly enough, we do have that. I mean, we just farm those jobs out to India, though.
Yeah, that's what I mean. They had some. Didn't Amazon have some grocery store where you could just go put the stuff in your cart?
Yeah, and it was really just
and
a dude looking at
Yeah.
a camera.
They tried to pass that off as AI, and
Well, that was Elon Musk's big show where he had the taxi and all that other stuff. He had robots like pouring drinks and stuff, and it turns out, again, it was really just someone controlling the robot remotely.
Can we not talk about
Fake it
Elon?
till you make
Can we not
it.
talk about Elon?
Listen,
oh,
listen.
Can't
He's in
stand
the
that guy.
zeitgeist, my man. He's just gonna come up.
He's in the
Oh, you mean
zeitgeist.
Mrs.
Yeah,
Trump.
right. Yeah. Or Mr. Trump,
You
really.
can be mad about it if you want, but we're
Yeah,
all
it's
going
here.
down in the same boat. Come on,
it's
Hop
going to
on.
affect everybody.
let's sink together.
Especially
Maybe
when we
me
get
and you-
Greenland and the Gulf of
Oh, yeah.
America and
Oh yeah,
the Panama.
that's gonna be
what are we going to
hilarious.
change the name of the Panama Canal to? The American
the
Canal.
American Canal. I don't know, Eagle
No,
Canal,
Trump,
something like that.
Trump Canal.
You know, I don't put it past him. It's
Oh,
probably-
there's gonna you got to know there's bridges being built right now that are
guaranteed. I mean, but every president has a bridge. So I mean,
yeah.
we have in
Is there
Dallas.
a Biden?
the George-
Is there a Biden bridge? You know, one which is kind of infirm and mentally not there and about to
well,
fall down.
that's all of our infrastructure. So yes, probably. But yeah, we have the George W. Bush. I have to drive on the George W. Bush Turnpike every time I go to Dallas. So yeah,
Ooh, that's a bit
Lovely.
annoying.
a little bit, just a little bit.
But
Well, to make things better, in Birmingham, there are canals named after the members of Black Sabbath, because Black Sabbath are from Birmingham.
That's awesome. Actually,
that's
brilliant.
actually tight.
So-
yeah.
where's the Boris Johnson Avenue though?
Boris Johnson Avenue.
Go ahead
Yeah.
and stick that in there.
Isn't that Mrs. Boris Johnson?
Ooh.
What?
If you're English, you got that. If not, just pretend you did, like I'm doing right now.
Listen,
Yeah, just nod. Yeah, great radio. Man nods on camera.
oh, that's right. I forget about that sometimes.
Well,
It's because I have a monitor here. I can see myself, and
Yeah, is that the definition of a narcissist, by the way?
yeah, actually it is.
Yeah, I sometimes wonder if my wife's a narcissist because she's one of the first things she ever did when we got married was buy loads of mirrors, and she's still buying loads of mirrors now, and it's kind of like, oh, why don't you look at yourself all the time? You know,
Yeah.
but
That
anyway.
I don't know, man. I walk by and go, oh, my hair.
Yeah, I
Yes.
tend to try to avoid that.
Or do you go past it and go, "You're worth it.
That's
You're
right. Yeah,
worth it."
actually, that's the other thing, right? You need a little bit of
You
encouragement.
ever
and
known
there's no one
anybody
around
that
to do
had
it.
a bunch of Post-it notes up on their mirror saying little self-affirming messages like that? Like,
Yes,
Hang
you're
in
gonna
there.
kill it today.
yeah. But I remember one guy when I was at university. He was from Dubai, and his parents had paid God knows how much for him to get into university to do medicine in the UK. And he was still being a lazy ass and not doing any work. He's a surgeon now. But anyway,
Oh,
at the
lovely.
time, yeah, at the time, quite a lucrative one apparently. Anyway, but at the time, I remember going around his, and he had
He's
those
not
little.
salty at all.
Yeah, he had a. Yeah, no, I'm an anesthetist, man. I'm always salty when it
I
comes
like
to
these
surgeons.
stories. I know somebody that.
Yeah. Anyway, and he had these post-it notes which basically said, "Your parents are using your entire life savings for you to study here. Get on and do some work."
Yeah.
It still didn't really help, but hey, hell, as I said, he's a lucrative surgeon now, so some of it must have hit somewhere.
Yeah.
Well, to steer it back to the HD home run thing, the thing that's interesting about it is that Jellyfin has integration for
Yeah.
HD home run, where you can actually run it through the Jellyfin interface. And
That's
the
how
reason
I do mine.
that's cool is because then it can be shared, remotely to everybody else that's got an account with my Jellyfin, and you've got DVR service. That's, you can either enable it or not. DVR.
Just make sure you choose the right hard drive.
Yeah. Well, I suppose it would use it's running in Docker, so it would have to.
You would suppose wrong.
I mean,
I can't get
That is
Jellyfin to
Implex.
work. I've been
Or
trying
Jellyfin.
to get Jellyfin to work. I can't get it to work.
Snap
I
and
don't know
solve
what I've done
Jellyfin.
wrong. I followed the guy on the internet and followed his guide. I thought to myself, what could possibly go wrong?
Well,
It doesn't
So-
seem to work.
What step in the situation did you get started?
well,
when you hit pause on the YouTube video and it all just went wrong from there?
No. I was following the YouTube video to the letter, and I think it's something to do with the way that I have organized my NAS. I think I have no idea actually. You know what? I don't know what I'm talking about. I just followed the steps. And the guy said install Docker, so I installed Docker. Install
Oh.
Container Manager, I installed Container Manager. Install Jellyfin, I installed Jellyfin. Then I had to write a Jellyfin compose script, and I think that's where it went wrong.
Yeah. Well, yeah, when you add in Docker, it's just a layer of complexity. You just have to get used to how Docker works and how to expose the things that Docker needs you to expose so that there's, actual communication into the containers and out of the containers.
yeah.
And then, then you have to go and define where everything lives or whatever. And then,
It's likely
or-
where you got screwed up was either in passing through the compose file, the actual location of the data.
Yeah,
You
I
have to
think that's what
bind
it is.
that.
But
And-
the thing is, I don't know what else I can put in there. That's the thing, you see. When I
Well,
look
then you
at-
also have to. The other thing you could be screwing you up is the port number. If you
So could you not connect to Jellyfin, or it didn't expose your stuff like your movies?
So no, as I said, I got to the stage of running the Docker compose file, and then it basically saying place doesn't exist, and it's like, but it
Oh,
does exist. It's there.
backwards. When you read it, it's backwards. Like the thing you want to connect to is in the opposite spot of where you might expect it to be. It's weird. Docker can be kind of weird when you're putting that YAML file together, or really anything, because when you're running the command by itself, maybe that's just me. I always feel like it's backwards. Like I want to connect up the TV directory inside the container to this drive.
you have to think
on my
backwards.
actual system.
Because
Yeah,
what
I
you're
feel
actually
like it's
doing, you're
backwards.
binding the actual location to it's not a virtual location because it does exist within the container, but it's binding from to instead of this is what I want, put this, have it point towards this,
We need to do just a little live stream where we're looking at Majid's screen. And
Yeah. You know
just
what?
kind of me and Bill are arguing about how to proceed.
Yeah. Then there's another thing you got to make sure you put in to enable the hardware encoding or hardware decoding in your case. Or no, it is encoding. You have to give it access to the, what is it, /sys or something, the directory where the GPUs exist, because everything's a file, and that gives you, depending on what the device has, it might not have anything, but
Everything looks like a file.
yeah, it sort of does. I mean, they're not always files that you can look at, but you can go and you can find file system representations of
Everything.
every single
A process running
Yeah.
on your machine. There's a file for that.
and Docker, because of the way Docker works, it really doesn't have, the only way it has sense of anything outside of itself is if you bind those directories to the container itself.
Yeah.
And that's the difference between it and, well, it's one of the differences between it and a full-on virtualization type setup. But it's a cool rabbit hole to go down if you've got the time to learn it. I would say if you're going to do any self-hosting, Docker is the one thing you really want to spend quite a bit of time learning.
Yeah, I mean,
Spend $1,000 on each machine, run one service per machine, like we did back in the day when my beard was less gray.
Go get you 20 static IP addresses.
Correct.
That way you don't have to do reverse proxy.
Each on its own T1. Yes, exactly.
When I was setting this up and I got the business account for my internet, they offered $5 more. I could have gotten a pack of like five static IP addresses, and that probably
And you
would've made-
didn't?
No, because I got this
Come
reverse
on.
proxy, and that kind of takes care of that problem for me. So I just heck with it. It works. I don't know of any anybody's experiencing any bottlenecks as a result of going through the reverse.
Oh, you don't? No, it's not for the bottlenecks. It's because you have 5 static IP addresses.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it is kind
These
of.
things are like gold these days, man.
Yeah.
I mean, you're
you would
only
think.
renting them, but still.
You are borrowing them, and it's surprising to me that we haven't ran up against a brick wall with that IP4 thing.
Oh,
But
I got a funny email at work the other day. Kind of speaking of like they're gonna rug pull you. I got a funny email about a cloud guru. It's like a learning service, right, where you can go and learn a bunch of Linux stuff, Docker stuff, whatever. They got purchased by Pluralsight, and they sent me an email the other day that said, "Your lifetime a cloud guru subscription will soon be terminated." And it's like, wait a minute. Those words don't make sense. My lifetime.
oh, there's where you made your mistake, because
Yeah,
it's not
lifetime
your
to a-
lifetime.
Yeah, it's a cloud guru's
It's the lifetime
lifetime
of their commitment to that agreement.
That's it. That's the one. The agreement's lifetime.
Yeah.
And they just decided. And it was too, like they had cited some clause in the agreement or whatever it was. And it did pretty much say exactly that, right? Like some kind of like escape clause they had. And it was like, yeah, that was in the thing. So sorry. Lifetime's not lifetime. But that's some bullshit, man. You can't call things unlimited or lifetime and then have stipulations on what that actually means, man. Like,
But
come
they
on.
absolutely do. They use language like unlimited and lifetime all of the time. Meanwhile, they've got their fingers crossed behind their back. Sell.
Didn't the phone companies get in trouble for that recently, like in the past few years?
It seems like they have, but it hasn't stopped them, because Verizon still markets their most expensive plans as unlimited, but you absolutely could run up against a limit. I mean,
Well,
it'll stay
it's
working, but you're not going to
A
have.
throttle.
It'll throttle back, and
Yeah. So I guess in the verbiage, it's like you can have all the connection you want at this speed.
right, yeah, but that doesn't scale to their marketing, because that's what all.
Yeah, it
of
just doesn't make
these-
sense because like a throttle is a limit.
It is. It is to us, to plain spoken people, but this language was designed for marketing, for separating people from their money. And so that particular kind of thing is all about, well, how much can we get away with saying without saying what we absolutely don't mean.
No. I mean, I think there is a calculation like that, but I think more often than not, they're like, no one's gonna sue us.
Huh.
Just put it in there. What are they gonna do? Spend $100,000 taking us to court so they can get their $80 back? No, just put it in there, and we'll do what we want when we want, how we want.
Kind of like ZFS.
I think there's more of that.
Ubuntu. Just put it in there. What's the worst?
Hey, wait a minute. Wait, what?
ZFS and Ubuntu.
Oh yeah, just shove it in there.
Yeah,
It's
just
whatever.
shove it in. You don't even have to install ZFS utils anymore. I noticed that on Mint. And the one thing people don't talk about very much is if you're using a derivative of Mint, you've got just as much, or derivative of Ubuntu, you got just as much access to in-kernel ZFS as Ubuntu does.
The one thing your Dr. Majid doesn't want you to know.
But
ZFS was in there the whole time.
it really is, because I created a pool on a little. I wanted to see, because in the past, yeah, you had it in tree, but you had to have the user space tools. You had to install ZFS utils Linux, but now you don't even need to do that. So
Yeah, I was gonna say, what was that? Like a conversation about bloat or whatever? Like 180K doesn't need to be in my system.
Yeah.
Get that bloat out of here.
I think to get people to use it, or even people that know what it is and how to use it, probably would have gotten a little irritated with the fact that they had to go Googling why, if we've got full access to ZFS, why do I still have to, why is it not working? And then, oh, okay, yeah, you got to go install ZFS utils Linux, because that's not really straightforward. I don't know, it might have came on the server version, but now everybody's got it, so.
So you know what's funny is when we have these conversations, I think about people that have never been on the command line that might want to get onto the command line. How would they know any of that?
Yeah, no.
Like you log into, well, you don't even log in. You just you sit down in front of a server, no GUI, and it's asking you for username and password, right? And you type it in there. And then in Ubuntu, you get like a nice little display of some information.
Yeah.
When you log in, it's like, here's your temperatures, here's your disk usage.
Lots
Oh,
of
this
stuff.
disk might be getting full, so be careful with that. And then it's like, oh, buy Ubuntu Pro. And then drops you to a prompt. And that's it. So it's funny to me when we talk about this kind of thing, that how would you get there? How do you get there?
Well, in my case, I started
Everything's
with...
external.
Yeah. Now, there's distributions out there that are meant to be server that do have kind of a grapple, like Open Media
SUSE.
Vault is a good place
Oh.
to start.
Oh,
or
right. Okay.
like your TrueNAS or whatever. Is it still TrueNAS? Yeah.
TrueNAS Scale now, sir.
Yeah. Gosh.
Well, it turns out it's a good thing we had this conversation, because I then decided to just have a quick look at my NAS, and apparently my system partition has failed.
Oh, that might be why Jellyfin doesn't work.
Well, yeah, that would explain that, but then you'd be like, what the hell? When did that happen?
Man, you'd have been
see-
better off just building your own.
Okay, so to the answer to the question of how long would your servers run if you weren't around to fix them, Majid scored 0 days.
Yes.
It might be a negative number, actually, because we don't know
Yes,
how long.
exactly, because I've
It
sat here
failed
and not
weeks ago.
realized.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But yeah, I think about that sometimes, and I think I'm just a product of the internet, right? Like in the time that I grew up, everything was on the internet. You learned stuff before you jumped onto a command line.
Yeah.
But so often you hear people, "Well, just run a Linux server for that," or "Just run Jellyfin on Linux. Just do this, do that, whatever." But like, there's no way in the system to even get the basic footing in a command line.
Well,
Like,
it feels like to get the most out of Linux, you could put it on a machine, and I have put it on machines and given it to people, and they get on just fine with it. But if you're going to get into stuff like
on
that...
a desktop, sure,
Yeah.
I get that. Because it's the same. It's point and click.
It's really worthwhile to be a part of the discussion with Linux. Like, at least, like, look at YouTube videos. Because in my case, starting out, I was watching stuff like Nixie Pixel and Spatry's Cup of Linux and all that stuff that used to be out there in the beginning, and they were actually showing like certain commands to run to do certain things and just simple things. And then that's a rabbit hole you go down, and the more you kind of get into that, the more confident you get, and to the point where you actually prefer doing things on the command line, as we say, and because it seems to be a faster, more performant way of executing commands and handling system maintenance and system administration.
Yeah.
And
I think. Oh, go ahead.
well, I was just gonna say, and after a while of doing that, you finally get up the courage to go and try in like a virtual machine at first, of course, to download something like a Ubuntu server or a headless Debian install or something like that, and try your hand at managing something that has no GUI whatsoever. You have to know the tools to perhaps install and then execute in that terminal. But I think it's not straightforward like just buying something off the shelf and just using it. You've got to do the learning yourself, I think.
Yeah.
Before you even begin to be comfortable with administering stuff on the command line. And then, or you could just go buy a Synology because they work every time.
Well, that's what this is the Synology that I've got. That's the one that's causing all this, isn't it?
Yeah.
At least it told you.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. I mean,
but you had to log in to see it.
Yeah, I had to log in to see it. I had no idea.
Hadn't done. Well, you just never set up the emails.
I mean, I did. Oh, yeah, okay, maybe. I don't know.
Ah, got him.
You got him.
But yeah, I think about that. I don't know. I just think about that because I think I teach Linux as well, and I mean, it's easy when you're sitting in front of someone and you're like, "Well, here you go. Here's how you do these things." But
there's enough information out there too. If you have the smallest inkling of how to ask the question,
that's the problem.
That is a problem, is knowing what words to use to
today
ask
is your first day
properly.
In front of a Linux machine.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you're not steeped in it. You don't know that there are forums upon forums upon forums upon, like, the literal people that put the software together will talk to you stuff. Like, you don't know this. And and you're just kind of plopped down in front of a black screen.
I've got a friend,
it's like,
and I'm not going to name him here.
Majid.
Steve, who, and you're gonna love this. When he has Mint on one of his machines that he uses, and it was time to do the major upgrade when Mint came out with that new tool to go from one major release to another, and I said, "Well, you got to open up a terminal." And
he was out.
He was out. But then he figured it out, and he's like, "All right, so I'm in DOS.
Okay.
What do I what do I need?" Because people are associating the command line, or even command line is probably not the appropriate thing to use, although people do. That's a Windows thing. He's in the terminal, but he sees the cursor, and people the only cultural reference normal people have to that is DOS, you know. So, and he's not the first person to say, "Well, I don't want to use Linux because I don't want to have to learn DOS." And I have to tell him, you know, just like the douchebag I am, well, if all you know is DOS, then you're not going to get very far in Linux.
Yeah.
And then,
no, I like that though. I like that the black screen with white text is just DOS.
Yep, that's DOS.
But you're right with the command line thing. Command line is the right word. It's command prompt. I think you're thinking of, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah.
There, I had to be the douche.
Yeah.
So this is what. So this is why I asked that question. I think once of is
why
it
aren't
worth
you just
doing
using Windows, right?
Why is it worth doing an Arch install just to learn how a lot of these things fit together and work and stuff like that?
I would say so.
Bill, you're wrong.
But then again, I would, wouldn't I?
Yeah, but you're wrong though. I think because I think most people go in there expecting a full recipe, but not understanding the pieces, and then they just run the commands, and you don't learn anything that way.
Well, so that was I think someone actually said that was what's I think Bill, in fact, you might have said that. In fact, that the scripts and all the things that
Bill
are
was
on
right.
the Arch wiki and all this are just so kind of cut and paste that do you actually learn anything? You probably don't.
Well, yeah, because you have scripts in the Arch install that do all the what they call pack strapping, but all of the initial setting up of the file system and downloading and installing the base system, and then generating your. Well, there's another one that generates your FS tab and all that stuff. So you do still have some level of hand-holdiness. And, of course, now with Arch install, my argument is that it's just as easy to install Arch now as it is anything else, as long as you're comfortable with an Incursus-based kind of interface. But to me...
I think for me, because I'm a very conceptual kind of guy, I need to kind of understand what's actually happening.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And if I don't understand what's happening, so this is why I went off Endeavor, was it 6-8 months ago or whatever, because I was just kind of copy pasting stuff, and I'm thinking I don't actually know what I'm doing here, and I'm probably going to destroy something. Ironically, the thing that seems to have got destroyed is the one with the bloody proprietary Synology. Anyway, but that's beside the point.
That's a hardware problem. That's a hardware. That's not fair.
Well, you also kind of went outside of what that device was really meant to do. Trying to put Jellyfin on it and all that. I mean, it's not really. It wasn't really.
Jellyfin's not an app you can install.
It is, but yeah, it is. As is Plex.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't going. Isn't that one of the whole points of having a NAS?
Well, I mean, is that an officially
media
supported thing? Like
yeah.
Jellyfin?
It was.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
So I don't know.
No, we can't make judgments yet. We don't even know what the error is really truly referring to just yet. Once we get some details, we can throw the Synology out. But
yeah.
I mean,
according to the Synology AI agent live chat.
Oh no.
Yeah. Apparently, what I need to do is reinstall DSM. Reinstall the DSM operating system. Apparently.
Is DSM the operating system?
Yeah. It's the operating system on the NAS.
have you tried just simply rebooting it first, just to see if it just didn't mount correctly or something?
I haven't. This is all happening live. Remember, this is how cool we are on OTC.
Can you get a terminal
live?
Can you get a command prompt?
Can you get DOS?
Can you get DOS? Can you get access to DOS on your Synology?
Get DOS, and then we can go from there.
Because all you gotta do is
I'm telling you, we need to do a live stream thing of where
sudo mount TAC A, and that'll mount everything that's on the fstab.
Okay, let's have a look.
Where's
that
going
to be? There doesn't seem to be there's an admin console. Is that the thing? Possibly.
Probably. Yeah.
It is on Windows.
Okay, let's have a look. Yeah, there is a terminal. All right, cool. What do you mean? Use terminal service to manage.
Do you have
system?
a root prompt or?
Well, I'll tell you in a minute.
Very well. Oh, you got to install it.
Yeah.
Oh.
Or you got to enable it, or something. Anyway. Yes, this would be an interesting live stream, wouldn't it?
Okay. Yep. Well, don't fix it yet.
Well,
yeah.
And we'll come together and do this.
There's
there's 1,000 reasons why a file system doesn't mount at boot time or gets kicked off, and then you don't know it unless you're like actively trying to access those files. You've been, your backup scenario just wouldn't be working or whatever you got that thing doing.
Oh no, Majid doesn't have a backup.
No, that's what.
Well, that makes two of us.
I'm happy I do have backups now. This is one of those situations when you think to yourself, that 3-2-1 thing, it's a good idea.
Yeah, sure is. Sure is. Sure wish I would have done that 6 months ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Has there been a substantial loss of data?
Not yet.
Oh, yeah.
Coming up, though.
We should have backed up
next
TikTok.
time on OTC. Yeah.
Everyone but Leo.
That's right.
Yeah. I don't know.
I'll figure it out. I suppose this will keep me entertained for the rest of the evening if I can be
That
That's
would
bothered.
it.
drive me nuts.
No,
Wait,
that's
yeah.
that's how I get my entertainment, man. Like stuff breaking is just fun.
I mean, it's fun as long as you're not like 5 minutes before recording time or something like that, and or
Yeah.
nobody for the show for Mintcast can access their notes because the.
Right.
But see, that's the thing with me in my case, and setting aside your opinions about whether or not I should be using it, I do use Watchtower, which is a Docker service that runs in its own container, and it basically monitors all of your containers and keeps them up to date automatically.
The only reason you shouldn't use Watchtower because it abstracts away a lot of the stuff that you would need to understand to truly like know what's going on. This would bug Majid because he would need to know what's going on underneath, and Watchtower abstracts away so much of
Yeah.
that. You just push start. What does that do? Starts it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of the reasons. I mean, there's got to be some Apple hate, isn't there? One of the reasons why I get so annoyed with Apple devices because everything is so abstracted away. I have no idea where's what, how, when. It's just
Oh, Android too.
You just
not
you
as
just
much. Not
you
as
just
much.
open DOS on Mac.
Yeah,
and
you go
it
to
works.
DOS on your phone and execute a spurious list of commands.
Yeah, exactly. RMRF.
In other news, I'm enjoying using Linux again. In the sense that, remember I mentioned that I was installing Elementary and then I got really annoyed with Elementary and I was preferring to open my Windows machine rather than using it. That's how
Yeesh.
bad it was annoying
Wow.
me.
Wait,
So
Windows
anyway,
10 or Windows 11?
11.
Oh, wow, that's terrible.
Yeah. So anyway, now that I've put Ubuntu on it instead, because all roads lead to Ubuntu. However much I try, it's like the Godfather 3. However much I try to, get out, they suck me back in. And now I'm
and
enjoying using my laptop again.
one of the
Ubuntu
things
proper.
that I really hate about
Yeah,
Ubuntu
2410.
is that it really abstracts away a lot of the things.
Well, there's something to be
but
said
I'm enjoying using it. Yeah.
when you're using something like Mint,
Look at back
using
there.
something like Ubuntu. There's something to be said when you just don't have the time to be constantly fixing things going wrong, or better yet, learning an entirely different workflow. Because if you Ubuntu, Ubuntu, but to a greater extent, something like Elementary was good to hand to people that have not already developed
Yeah.
a workflow.
Yes.
I'm
Very
sorry, you
much.
said Linux Mint? You said Mint.
Did I say Mint?
You should have.
Damn. Well, and Mint too. I
I-
mean, if Mint you got more options with Mint, but there is a certain workflow that you have to get used to. I would say that you've got more options to change things with Cinnamon
I mean,
Latte.
yes. You're right. If somebody had never used a computer or had very, very, very little use of a computer beforehand, and then you were to hand them Elementary or Mint, then it would be maybe easier for them to get along with than if you've already
Counterpoint.
got an established workflow, as you say. I think
like those
however
imaginary
much-
people that come over from Mac OS
Right.
to Linux, that everybody keeps
Yeah,
talking about.
Yeah, which
Count-
doesn't
counterpoint,
happen.
though.
Let's be honest, that doesn't happen.
No,
No,
it doesn't.
It
But-
just doesn't happen.
So, Linux Mint can do everything the other Linux operating systems can do.
Yes.
I fail to think of a good example of like Linux Mint can't do that. That isn't really just a restriction of Ubuntu in general.
I can't think of anything either.
I would agree. I would agree with you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's
I
my
mean- I
favorite
mean-
thing about Linux Mint is that you can grow up in Linux Mint and never leave. You don't have to go and torture yourself with Arch. You don't. You could
Yeah.
just stay in Mint and do everything you need to do.
I think there's reasons to use Arch. I think none of them have anything to do with limitations to what you can accomplish, and it's and everything to do with maybe having, if you're the kind of person that just simply wants that extra layer of control, or your system is completely dependent on you making the right decisions.
No, but even then, but then even then, actually, I'd still take Leo's point. You could probably do that with Mint.
you could.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
other than this is a restriction of Ubuntu, not Mint. But other than like having the bleeding edge of every package on your system, that's that's something you really can't do unless you get on the rolling release, whatever it is.
Yeah.
Ubuntu, not the Rhino one, just the nightlies that Ubuntu puts
Yeah.
out, right? Like you can do it, but
I mean,
it's not gonna be pretty.
in a real world situation, what real world situation would there be where you need bleeding edge packages?
The one where you run Pac-Man SYU every 34 seconds?
Yeah, so no. I mean, I'm asking
That's
that.
it.
I'm asking
That's
that.
the
I'm
one.
asking. No, I mean, I'm asking that as a genuine question because you hear about this and people saying, oh, I like this distro because it's rolling release, or I get all the latest stuff and this that. And I'm like, okay, what is it that you genuinely are doing that means you need that? I mean, and I'm not saying that as, and I'm asking that as a genuine question because I would like to know.
Well, some people
Because maybe I'm missing something.
Some people need, for one reason or another, they need to track the upstream of a certain package or firmware or drivers development, and they need it
fair.
as it comes along. Or if I mean, I'll give you the Audacity example too. That if you're waiting desperately for them to fix problems, and then you want a repository installed version of Audacity, then something like Arch or something that tracks the upstream to some degree is probably your best bet with that. It's has everything to do with needing the most up to date thing right here as quickly as you can get it. So there is that. But I think if you're average Arch user was being honest, it's just the idea that, hey, I built this thing, or I feel like I built this thing because it's got nothing more and nothing less than the things I want on there. Whereas you could get the same end result with something like Mint, but it would involve removing or changing things that are already done for you, like writing your .bashrc file, for example. If you install Arch, you get a absolutely bare blank bashrc, and that file makes a lot of things in the command shell work a little bit better, a little bit more intuitively. But you don't get any of those things with Arch. You have to go and set these things up as you learn them.
Don't worry. Someone that's setting this up on Arch just goes and steals somebody else's anyway.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's examples out there that you can just copy and paste. And there's examples on the Arch wiki, but you just don't get it by default with an installation.
Right.
So you get no aliases. You get no... and aliases, for those that don't know, is when you can... If you've got a command that is long, with which Arch has some commands that are a bit unknowable if you're not used to it, especially the commands you need to update the system, you can make aliases in your .bashrc file where you can create, as long as it's not being used by any other binary command on the system. And even then you could use it. You would just be overwriting that command that the system would need for that particular.
Who really needs RM anyway?
Yeah, but you could map, like if you wanted to, you could map the word update to sudo pacman -S YU. And
no, you got to throw some extra Y's in there.
Okay, SYYU.
YU.
The double Y just forces it to. It's the same as the sudo apt update. It just
do it harder.
The repository database.
Yeah. Do it harder. Update harder.
Because if you just have one Y, it will only update those databases if it needs to. If you have two, then it forces the update of those databases.
So what if you have 3?
I don't know. I've never tried 3.
Okay, we should try 4 and just report back.
It just...
Like how many can you add in there before it argues with you?
I mean, I'm not trying to come across as like, a Linux Mint advocate.
Well, you have failed.
Well, okay. As I said, it was just a genuine question because, as I said, the idea of it sounds great, but it's like, okay, what do you actually need every single latest thing for?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and the answer to that, for most people, you don't. But, I mean, if you got a brand new box with some very cutting edge hardware in it, then you might have a tough time getting everything to work in a mainstream distro.
If you have new hardware, what you should do is go install Arch from scratch. You'll have a great time.
Betcha.
Yeah, should I do that on my Snapdragon X Elite laptop then? Go on then. Shall I do
Yes,
that?
sir. Absolutely.
Well, it's true though. I mean, you're not. There are certain drivers or certain blobs in the Linux firmware package that probably don't exist in Ubuntu unless you wait for the hardware enablement release,
I mean,
and even
if you're
then,
coming to Linux with state-of-the-art, newest of the new, just released, came out yesterday, I built it today, we're running it now, and then you decide, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to put Linux on it. I think you're already kind of off on the wrong foot,
you're making
man.
it
You're
sound
kinda
like
doing it wrong.
insanity.
Yeah. I mean, even Windows would have trouble with that stuff.
That's true.
But you're just adding on a layer of fun. Kind of like Majid, right? Where you're adding on Docker to an already complex situation. So you're adding much complexity on top of everything. Which, it's good. It's good to learn that stuff. But, yeah, you're making it hard. It's just going to make for a really bad time if you don't have some background in it.
Yeah, the background is helpful.
Speaking of latest hardware type things, I can't remember. Did you say you'd run Asahi on your MacBook at any point?
I have not. Not. They were fixing the speaker thing. The last time I looked in, I think they fixed it by now.
I think they have.
That was probably a year or so ago. But there was a mode you could set it to that would blow your speakers, and I was like, you know what? Let's not. I'm gonna wait until it's closer to stable before I go and try and ruin any hardware. This is like whenever you have a vertical refresh and a horizontal refresh on your old CRT monitors, and if you misconfigured that horizontal refresh, you could blow your CRT, like it would just be broken. And very slim. It's not like this happened to everybody all the time or anything like that. But you could set the mode that it would ruin your CRT, and so that's kind of what it felt like. I was like, I never tried that back then with my CRT. I don't think I'll try it with my Mac.
I think the Fedora Asahi project has gotten pretty good. I mean, of course, that's just anecdotal because I don't have a Mac. I kind of wish I did just so that I could try that. But from what I've heard...
Bill said it here. You heard it here.
Yeah.
If I could get a Mac for cheap that was an M series, and because this when I did
$4.99 not cheap?
$199 on
it's
eBay.
January,
is
mate.
cheap.
It's January. It's like 5 weeks between paydays.
Broke.
I ain't got no money. I got 3 kids. I ain't got no money.
I couldn't
All
afford
right,
to
so
borrow one.
So in 3 weeks, is $4.99 that expensive? I mean, like when we're talking about a new inbox
I've got to be honest.
computer.
I've not seen one that low. I've seen them for about $650.
They sell them in the
UK.
store for that. What do you mean? This is
Well,
retail
They
price.
have Walmart over
No,
there.
okay. You know what? Okay, man looks thing on internet again. All right, let's have a look. Right,
I think I might be
Linux
thinking educational price, so they may be $5.99, but my point still stands.
I
That's
think
pretty
if
fun.
I had like
The
actual
Apple UK
use for
Apple
it.
UK website. All right, let's have a look. Yeah,
Hold on,
what's
I'm
the
gonna-
cheapest one I can get here?
Mac, go
Brand
to
new.
the Mac Mini, and just from $5.99, so you can upgrade it.
Oh,
yeah,
so
and
gigs of
then
RAM.
that's for a Mac Mini. We were
Oh,
talking
you want a
about
MacBook?
Air.
You
Yeah.
want it? Those are $8.99. They start at $8.99. They come with a screen.
They start with at $9.99 in the UK.
you can get an
Ugh.
awful lot of Dell or I don't know.
Could you though?
Actually, to be fair,
those-
Leo's got a point there. Sometimes when you do actually, if you ever did I mean, no pun intended, apples to apples comparison of exactly the same specs of a Windows
80%.
device,
We would have stomped
And-
on him if he didn't say no pun
I
intended.
love it.
yeah, then yeah, if you were to get exactly the same specs, you will be paying a Windows tax actually.
Yeah.
Which is why the MacBook Air always wins these kinds of laptop of the year things because I mean you can buy an iPad for more expensive than a MacBook Air now, for God's sake. I mean
Look.
that's just craziness, but I mean
If you want the Dell XPS 13 laptop
Dropping
model
that line, by the way.
3945, it is what?
They're dropping the XPS line, by the way.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
calling them pros now or something.
Yeah,
Some
that's
stupid
just
shite.
hilarious, isn't it? The Dell Pro Max Plus Max Pro
Yeah.
14 Pro 14. This
If
is
you
not
wanted-
confusing in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
Obviously.
if you want to know who's winning, you see who's emulating who. And when Dell goes and one of the biggest computer manufacturers in the world emulates the Apple naming scheme,
Yeah, I know.
you got the clear
Says it
winner
all.
right there.
That's almost
Yeah.
Says it all.
embarrassing.
But if we're looking, look at this. I'm looking at the Snapdragon X Plus, XP, blah blah, Windows Home, Arduino graphics, 16 gigs of RAM, 256 gig SSD, 13-inch screen, $899. We go over to Apple.com, same computer, $899.
That's an ARM
just the same
laptop,
thing.
though, right?
Yeah,
Snapdragon.
That's an ARM
but
one,
I'm
yeah.
sure you can find the Intel one that has worse battery life at about the same price.
Well, it depends if you
more.
got the Lunar Lake one or something. The newer ones are supposed to be better.
Let's see. Yeah, this
Cer-
one's got a 512
Surely not
gig
better than a
SSD at-
Snapdragon or a
Here
a
you go.
MacBook.
Here's the Core Ultra 5 processor 226V Series 2 with a 512 gig SSD for $1249. And I think if you upgrade
So
one of these Macs,
So that's what, 300 quid more, bucks more, whatever. So that's not a
let me see.
you know
if I
that's
bump up,
that's a significant difference.
yeah, $12.99.
that-
So you're $50 different.
All right then. So yeah, when the truth be told, that if you stack it up pound for pound, you're paying the same amount of money for a machine that comes close
at
to
the base. At
Yeah.
the base. I mean, we all know that
Sure.
Apple does love to
yeah,
upsell
yeah.
you. I mean, there is when you mentioned Mac Minis. Did you see that thing about how if you were to get, because the standard Mac Mini comes with 16 gigs of RAM and 256 SSD. If you were to upgrade that to 32 gigs of RAM and 200
Yeah.
and another 256 to make it 512, it would be cheaper to buy two of the original than
Yeah.
to buy than to upgrade. Which is,
Yeah.
I just think, lunacy,
Yeah,
frankly.
and I think the real solution to that is to not buy the thing on launch and wait for Amazon to run a sale. And those sales get pretty deep.
or wait
So-
2 years and buy it used, like I do.
Now, the used market for Apple stuff is not as deeply discounted as you might think.
Oh yeah,
It's
no, I
actually
mean,
kind of
and that's
gross.
one. If there's one good thing about having an
Yeah.
Apple device and then getting rid of it after that, is the fact that it is, they hold their
Maintains its
value.
value. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well,
Is a lot of that
anything-
because you can't get into them and tinker with them very much, and that helps.
No,
with
I think
the-
it's just because people want them. People want
Yeah,
them. I mean,
that's it.
I mean, it is the most popular laptop in the world. It is.
Yeah.
I mean, there's figures out that show this. I don't like that fact, by the way, but I mean, I can't deny the truth. I
Wait a
can't
minute.
deny
You
the
mean
truth.
it's not a framework laptop with Ubuntu 2404? What?
Yeah, exactly. I
well,
know,
yeah,
I know.
you got to know that anything we like, and I say we
Yeah.
as us three
there's
plus
the-
everybody
there's
that's
the
listening
royal
to
we.
us three.
Yeah. This is the framework with Ubuntu on it, by the way. So,
Yeah,
you know,
and
I'm not
we are going to be at the bottom of the list of percentages as to the things that are important to us.
Yeah, I mean,
know,
have you guys ever tried selling a laptop that's 1 year old?
Yeah. Half off.
Yeah, I mean, oh, exactly. I mean, it's embarrassing.
I just give them
Yep.
away.
With the equivalent Mac, I mean, you're talking $100 off, $150 off
Yeah,
the original
yeah.
sale price. Like it's stupid. It's insane. People will buy it. easily within the day of you
Yeah.
posting it. People will buy it. It's crazy.
Well, that's an hour, kid. More than an hour. That just flew by,
well,
didn't it?
you're welcome for the
Yeah,
extra.
no doubt.
Yeah. You're welcome for the fantastic radio, which was
Yeah.
me and Leo checking stuff on the internet.
That's right. Yeah. Well, we were dragging a dead corpse around for 10 minutes at the beginning, so
We
maybe
did.
Literally.
this is an apology for that.
But
Yeah.
I meant it when I said off the cuff.
Yeah,
There it
well,
is,
it's
man.
it is off the cuff.
It is
definitely.
completely off the
Yeah,
cuff.
it sure is.
Let us know what you think, folks, of anything. I don't know. Show at linuxotc.org. Hit us up on the only socials we're on is Discord and Mastodon, and I like it that way.
The good ones,
Uh,
not the evil Islamophobic racist ones.
Hey, you know, and the truth be told, if people were like hitting us up, oh God, I wanna talk to you guys, but I only use, I don't know, Blue Sky or whatever nonsense people you kids are into these days. I don't know. Then maybe we would set something like that up, but I don't see any reason to go out of our way right now. But yeah,
Just send us real mail, Bill. What's your address?
show at linuxotc.org.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I
I
was about to
suppose-
Google Street View you real quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because usually my emails are about something I said wrong. So,
Yeah, or in my case, people, offending people.
oh God, the irony
That's what I
there.
know.
With the Synology, I know it's
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, comment directly on the website. We'll be back in 2 weeks. And then thank you to everybody that joined us in the live stream. We do live stream every 2 weeks now on YouTube. And that's just
and half the time I don't even know we're doing it.
really, it just cut a lot of the work out for me of doing the processing and then uploading. It's just there. So why not? Yeah. See you in 2 weeks. Until then, I've been Bill.
I've been Majid.
I've been that other guy.
See you, folks.
Oh, I'm still the other guy.